We've got breaking news. The Miami Heat situation with Jimmy Butler taking another turn. Now Butler on his way to being suspended yet again. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. We're going to keep you up to date on all things going on around the NBA and give you our insight. Jimmy Butler, according to Shams Charania, is going to be suspended now for 2 games. He is fresh off of a 7-game suspension from Miami. And that was for conduct detrimental to the team. Now here he is being suspended once again. This time it's for 2 games. The Heat are about to embark on a 2-game road trip. He'd only played 3 games. He'd only been back 3 games from his 7-game suspension. And now Miami once again. And this is with, of course, all of the trade rumors swirling. We'll talk about that. Essentially, what happened was Jimmy Butler, he missed his flight. He missed the Miami Heat flight. On Wednesday, he had plans to join the team, and Miami said, no, if you're not going to bother making it to our flight, then we're just going to suspend you. You know, it wasn't long ago, just a couple weeks ago, the New Orleans Pelicans did the same thing with Zion Williamson. Said he can't show up on time. You can't be here when you need to be here. We're going to suspend you. Now, they only suspended him for a game. Is this perhaps strategic for Miami to not take Jimmy Butler on the road where they'll face a lot of questions about the trade front? We know the Phoenix Suns just made that move to free up draft capital, most likely to create a Jimmy Butler trade. Yeah, I mean, that probably is part of this, but the fact that they're actually suspending him, typically if a player is suspended, that means they're not getting paid. So this isn't just Miami sending Jimmy Butler home and trying to keep him away from the team, unless maybe they believe that Butler can simply appeal the suspension and then still get paid after the fact, because the Miami Heat can't sit Jimmy Butler because he is considered a superstar, and by NBA policies, they're not allowed. Teams are not allowed to simply sit superstar level players. You can't do that. They don't want teams resting guys on purpose. So is this a way to simply avoid having Jimmy Butler with the team? We know it's been a distraction for the Miami Heat, and their players have expressed interest in simply moving on from the situation so they can move forward and not having Jimmy Butler with the team. But nonetheless, he didn't make the team flight. The Heat suspended him, and now 2 games will go by without Jimmy Butler being with the Miami Heat. They play tomorrow against the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee, and they play Saturday against the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, all of this begs the question, have we seen Jimmy Butler's final game with the Miami Heat? Did it just occur against Portland last night? Did that happen in a losing effort, mind you, to Portland? Ouch. Losing a game to the Portland Trailblazers. That certainly hurts for a Miami Heat side that is trying to jostle for positioning in the Eastern Conference. You look at Jimmy, what he did last night, 13 points, 8 assists. That's pretty solid. 4 boards for Jimmy against Portland. But again, a losing effort, 8 points the game before that in 27 minutes. The game before that he played against Denver, another losing effort. He did fare better, 18 points. But again, it appears that right now, Jimmy's going to wind up with the Phoenix Suns. There's possibilities that other things happen here. You've got the potential that the Milwaukee Bucks, there have been rumors that maybe they'll be more interested in Zach LaVine than Bradley Beal. They still have to clear salary in order to get something done. So that could certainly throw a wrench into the plans of the Miami Heat to send Jimmy Butler over to Phoenix. And then you've got, because Phoenix has to send Bradley Beal somewhere, the Bucks being a stranger. I still hate that for the Bucks, by the way. I don't like the Bucks getting Bradley Beal. I don't think it makes any sense for them. I think that backcourt is going to get shredded. Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal, look, they'll be great offensively, but defensively, I mean, they're going to get, like, what happens when they play the Cavs? Really? I mean, what happens when they play the Cavs? And it's Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and you have no hope of staying in front of them. Then what happens? Right? What about the Celtics? When the Celtics switch hunt you to death, and you've got Bradley Beal trying to defend Jason Tatum or something like that. It doesn't make sense to me for the Milwaukee Bucks to go after Bradley Beal. But nonetheless, that is going to be something that'll be required for the Heat to move Jimmy Butler to the Phoenix Suns. They'll need to move on from Beal. Now, there has been the report, Donnie just talked about it a little bit ago. There has been a report that essentially the Phoenix Suns are telling everybody that they may not use the picks that they just acquired as a means to add Jimmy Butler, that they didn't do it with any specific future move in mind. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I don't know if you guys buy that. I definitely don't buy that they didn't do it with any specific move in mind. I think it's really stupid to make a move like that if you don't already have a move lined up, because that could crush you in the future. That 2031 pick they gave up, that could be absolutely devastating to the team into the future. So I don't buy that the Phoenix Suns made the trade they did without having something already in mind to do. You look at the Miami Heat, you look at the Jimmy Butler situation. Again, may have played his last game as a member of the Heat. $48.8 million this season. So that's the amount of salary that would be going out. And then the question becomes, what can the Heat get back? What can they get back? Especially with this rumor to be a big trade. And by big, I mean the number of players, the number of teams involved. We're talking about a 4-team trade, a 5-team trade, something like that. If the Toronto Raptors, who have been raising their hands, very loudly proclaiming that they will be a 3rd or 4th or whatever team in any kind of deal, that they will jump in with some expiring salaries in Bruce Brown and Chris Boucher. I mean, what about right there? What if you are Miami and you're able to walk away with some draft capital? You're able to walk away with Bruce Brown, who's an expiring contract. You can slot him in. I think he would fit Heat culture fairly well for what they're looking to do. Versatile wing player that you could put out there. That would make some sense to me if the Heat were to acquire Bruce Brown in this kind of a deal, plus draft capital coming from Phoenix. The Milwaukee Bucks get a little bit of draft capital for absorbing Bradley Beal's contract and bringing him in. They seem to like the idea of adding firepower to this club. If I had the choice between Bradley Beal right now and Zach LaVine, I would take Zach LaVine. Probably wouldn't have said that a year ago, but I'm saying it now. But nonetheless, the Bucks, for whatever reason, appear to be interested in Bradley Beal. So could that be a 4-team trade? Phoenix, Miami, Toronto, Milwaukee. Could that put the pieces together? Enough of the pieces together anyway. Remember, Phoenix cannot aggregate salaries in a trade. Neither can the Milwaukee Bucks. They would have to find a way to shed some salary. Maybe that would require them to move on from Pat Connaughton, try to move him over to, say, I don't know, the Detroit Pistons or the team that have the most cap space to work with there. So there'd have to be a lot of moving parts. But the bottom line, the move that the Suns made, I don't buy that they made that move without having a Jimmy Butler trade already in mind, without already being down the road towards making something happen. And I also say the suspension, I think Miami is just ready to be done. I think they're ready to be done with Jimmy Butler. He reiterated his trade request to Mickey Arison, to ownership. I think they need to move on. All parties involved need to move on. They need to get this done. There was talks a few weeks ago about, well, maybe this could linger into the summer. Maybe Jimmy picks up the $52 million player option. You got to get him off the roster, especially with him threatening already about, how he can make things even worse and kind of putting that out there. Like he can make things even more uncomfortable for the Miami Heat. Just move on. Find a way to get this done. If it means Jimmy to Phoenix, if that's where he really wants to go, because that's the team that's willing to pay him. And by the way, I don't know if I want to be the team to pay Jimmy Butler's next contract. If it's short term, if there's some protections to help you by making the last year a team option or something like that, or non-guaranteed money or something, maybe you can change my mind there. But there's a reason why Miami isn't just giving Jimmy the money he wants. He's meant a lot to that club. He's meant a lot to that franchise. He's got him to 2 NBA finals. But there's a reason why they don't want to be the team to pay him late into his 30s. If I'm Phoenix, I'm asking myself, why does Miami not want to just pay him? Why should we want to pay him? Why do we think Miami is wrong here? Why do we think Miami is missing something here? And maybe for the Phoenix Suns, they said, we don't care about 2 years from now, 3 years from now. We have Kevin Durant right now. We want to win right now. And we think Jimmy Butler gives us a shot to do that. Maybe that's as simple as it is. But Phoenix is very much jeopardizing their long-term future with moves like these and what they did the other day, trading that 2031 first. So again, if they win a championship, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. If they win a championship, then who cares? You won a title. Banners hang forever. So that's the gamble the Suns may be taking here if they get Jimmy. But the Miami Heat, they've got to be beyond over it with him at this point. Suspended for 7 games, comes back, plays for 3, suspended another 2, doesn't want to be there, wants to be traded, trade requests every chance he gets. Move on. Get what you can, move on, and learn the lesson. Next time, trade him a year before. Trade him before you get to this situation. If you don't want to be the team to pay him that next contract, move him before it gets to this point. That, I think, really should be the lesson for the Miami Heat here. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about Jimmy getting suspended again by the Miami Heat? Where's all this headed? And go check out the latest video. Donnie did a great job breaking down the latest on the Jimmy Butler situation and what's happening there and what might be happening in Phoenix and Milwaukee. So go take a look at that one right now.